Hi there, sociologists. I hope you're well. It's been a bit of an interesting one recently because I've been back in school with some of you, teaching you about this and other wonderful things. But others of you obviously are still at home, and I'm looking forward to seeing you as soon as possible, okay, and as soon as is safe. Recently, we've been looking at this question, which I think is one of the best questions we can ask and one of the best things we can look into, is why do people commit crimes? Because basically, since the beginning of human history, crimes have been committed. So there must be a reason why they're being committed, and there must be sort of links that we can build. So we're going to look at some of those links in future lessons, and some of those kind of links between gender and ethnicity and age and all that kind of stuff. But today we are going to look at the sociological reasons for crime. So we've already looked at the psychological ones and the biological ones, and I want you to before you go any further, make sure that you've done that quiz on Show My Homework, recapping what you've learned already. It's really helpful for you to have that in your mind fresh before going into this lesson, because it's going to be some of the things that we kind of compare and contrast. But today, the main focus is the sociological explanations of crime, and even more specifically, the functionalist ones. Okay? Now, I'm going to explain to you the idea of one functionalist, a man called Robert Merton, who came up with a theory as to why people commit crimes. I need it to make really, really clear what you have already learned about Durkheim and his 4 S's of crime. They are not reasons for crime, i.e. they are not reasons why people commit crimes. They are the functions that crime performs in our society. So Durkheim was saying crime is good for society because. Merton, today's lesson, is taking a step back. Doesn't matter if crime is good or bad for society, we just need to know why people commit it in the first place. Okay, so he is trying to uncover why crime exists and what are some of the driving factors that lead people to committing crimes. All right, Mr. Hughes, in this balloon you have a £5 note. Can you see it? You can hear it. You've got to get that £5 note out of this balloon, but you cannot pop it. The only way you can get the £5 out of the balloon is by untying the end. You ready?
Yeah.
You got a minute, go for it. I've never seen him concentrate this much.
So good.
He's giving it a good go.
So frustrated.
Go on, sir. Try and get this lockdown haircut in there as well. Look at that. Look at that fresh trim.
The length of top is horrific.
Come on. You've only got 20 seconds left.
No.
You gonna give up? You've got to get that £5 note out.
Yeah.
10 seconds.
Yeah.
You've got to get the £5. He's given up. So Mr. Hughes obviously failed that challenge, which was, to be expected because it is Mr. Hughes. So this balloon had £5 inside of it, and the success in this challenge was getting £5 out of that balloon. But the only way that was legitimate, the only acceptable way of getting it out, was by untying the end, which we all saw Mr. Hughes gave a good go at. That's a metaphor for society, because society says, and certainly in capitalist society, society says that success in capitalist society such as our own is acquiring a lot of wealth and having a job which is of high status. And that's seen as success between a lot of different people in a lot of different industries. But society also says that there's a legitimate way of getting that success, and that is by getting a good job, working your way up the ladder, the career ladder, starting off well in school, getting good grades, going to college, going to university, getting a good job, and working your way up to a state of
high income and high wealth and high status. So you're getting success through legitimate means. And that's very similar to getting success by untying the nozzle at the end of the balloon. But of course there are other ways of getting £5 out of this balloon. If Mr. Hughes wanted to, he could have popped the balloon and he could have just taken the £5 out of it, but that was against the rules. Similarly, in society, people can and do acquire a lot of wealth through illegitimate means, such as organised crime. And this is Merton's theory, that some people conform to the rules in society, they agree with the idea of getting a lot of money, and they agree with the way that it's done, which is through legitimate means. Other people, however, are called innovators, and they agree with getting a lot of money, but they do it by illegitimate means, such as turning to crime. So this is the theory of Merton and his strain theory. There are other responses to this as well. Some people just give up completely and don't even bother aiming for success or aiming for working hard. But those first two, conforming and innovation, are two of the most important for us to look at. And we're going to look at those in the rest of this lesson.
Okay, as the balloon game has hopefully highlighted, society has a set of culturally defined goals. Now, in this society, in a capitalist society, those goals are based around wealth and status. So in our society, generally, success equals having lots of money, working a good job, and being seen as important within your career and within your field. Society also has a culturally acceptable way of achieving these goals, and the acceptable means, and what we call the way of achieving goals is the means. The acceptable means is working hard within the meritocratic society, so the idea that you work hard and you earn what you deserve. Some people accept these goals and they accept the ways of achieving them, and they work hard and earn lots of money and get, legitimate success. Other people do not. Those who do not accept the goals or means resort to crime and/or deviance. And that's what Merton was saying when he talked about strain theory. So I'm going to show you a few examples of different responses to the same goal and the same means. Okay, remember, and I want you to write this down before we start. The goal in capitalist society is wealth and status. Okay, wealth and status is the goal at the top. The means, the acceptable way of getting wealth and status, is by working hard in a legitimate career. So the goal is status and wealth. The means is getting that status and wealth by working hard in a legitimate career. Basically following the law, a legal career, working hard. Okay, and you should do that to get status and wealth. So there are some people, like this businesswoman, who very much conform to the goals and the means of society. She has built her career based on working hard in a top job and earning a lot of money. We would describe this response as conformity, conforming to both the goals and the means. She is aiming for wealth and she is getting that wealth via a legal career. On the flip side, we also have somebody who sets out a similar goal, i.e. they want to make a lot of money, but they do so through illegitimate and illegal means. We call these people innovators, or people who are displaying the response of innovation. These both share the same goal. They are both after wealth. However, one of them is getting that wealth by following the rules of society. The other one is getting that wealth not by a legitimate career, but they have improvised, they have innovated and they have found another way, an illegal way of getting a lot of money. And this might be somebody who is committing fraud on a mass scale, somebody who is involved in international dealership, i.e. arms or drugs. Organised criminals are generally seen as innovators because they're getting a lot of money from doing illegal activity. So what makes these guys similar is they both share the goal, but they are both disagreeing on the acceptable means of getting that goal. If you look at that in a table form, people who display conformity are those who maybe are an ambitious student from a privileged background who works hard to qualify as a doctor. And that doctor works their way up the ladder and gets the socially defined goal, which is monetary wealth and status in society. They also get that by following the defined ways, the means of achieving those goals. On the flip side, those who innovate accept the goals, but via a different means. Okay, for example, theft or fraud or organised crime. And these people feel like they don't have the goals or they feel like they can't achieve the goals via the acceptable means due to a lack of opportunity, and therefore they seek alternative criminal means to get them the same goals. This is where the word strain comes from in Robert Merton's strain theory. Okay, the people who are innovating are straining, are reaching for the same goal as the people who are conforming, but they are unable to get it through legitimate means. They might have a disadvantaged background, they might not have got the same grades in school, they might not have gone to university, and so rather than getting them through legitimate means, they strain, they can't reach them. Okay, I'm going to get them through illegitimate means. I'm going to start a life of organised crime and I'm going to get really rich, but from illegal activity. Okay, these are the first two responses. There's 5 in total, but the first 2 responses to the goals that society sets out. Merton continues. He also says, so you've got this businesswoman who is a conformist. There is another group of people who are similar to the businesswoman in some ways, but different in others. What these guys do is called ritualism. These guys are the ones who turn up day in, day out, have worked the same job for 25, 30 years. They are bored, they are routine, they don't have any aspirations, they're turning up to work every single day, but they've forgotten what the goal is. They didn't get a promotion, and they haven't had a promotion in the last 10, 15 years. They're coming in, punching in some numbers on their keyboard and going home. They're not breaking the law. They're not breaking the rules. They're working hard. They're following the acceptable means, which is hard work in a career, but they've lost sight of the goal, which is monetary success and status. Okay, so these two are different in that aspect. The businesswoman, who is the conformist, she values getting status and wealth. These two both share their determination to work hard, but she is working hard because she is still in sight of status and wealth, whereas he is working hard because it's what he's always done, but he's forgotten to aim for wealth. Okay, so he's just going through the rituals of work, rituals being kind of empty gestures that don't really have any ultimate purpose. Okay, he is going through the rituals of work. He's not actually getting anything out of it. He's just doing it because it's what he's always done. Okay, so if we compare these on a table, we've got that first row, conformity. Yes, those that are conformists do accept the socially defined goals, i.e. status and wealth. They do accept the ways of achieving those goals, i.e. working hard. Innovators do accept status and wealth, but they don't accept the ways of getting that status and wealth. And those who are ritualistic or involving ritualism, they're the sort of office workers who are just stuck in a job, haven't had a promotion in 20 odd years. They've lost sight of the goals. They are no longer striving for wealth and status. They no longer believe they can achieve success. Probably they're too old to get a promotion, so they've just kind of given up. But they haven't given up on working. They still believe it's important to follow the rules. I would say about 70% of the workforce, maybe a little bit less, is ritualistic. Because not everyone can have top jobs, not everyone can get a promotion. So at any one time, I would say maybe 50%, maybe a little bit less. A fair chunk of the workforce in this country are just turning up, punching in their figures and going home again. Okay, not really aiming for a promotion, just doing it because it's what they've always done. So these guys aren't breaking the law, they're not criminals. Yes, they're deviating from the capitalist dream of wealth and status, but they're not bad people. They're just no longer aiming for the same goals as those who are conforming. We move on to a couple of more responses. So moving on, Merton said that there were two more responses, okay, to the goals and the means of achieving those goals in society. So just one more time, just to recap, society sets out goals. These goals are shared by all people, and those goals are the accumulation of status and wealth. Now, society sets out acceptable ways of getting those goals, getting that success, which is by working hard in a career. Some people choose to do that, aim for success via a career. Some people choose to innovate, so they aim for success via illegal means. Other people have become sort of ritualistic and they've lost sight of the goals, but they're still working hard in their job. There are two more groups, and both of these groups have something in common, and that is the rejection of both society's goals and acceptable means. So they basically reject the idea of getting status and wealth, and they also reject the idea of working in a legitimate career. The first group is this. Some people, for a number of reasons, okay, there is a number of reasons why this happens, some people drop out of society. They stop working, they stop looking after themselves physically, they might depend upon a substance such as alcohol or drugs, and they stop ever really believing that society has anything to offer them or that they have anything to offer society. They kind of run away from society, and that's why Merton calls them retreatists, or people who display retreatism. Okay, retreatism is the response to the goals and the means of society from people who do not believe they can achieve anything, and rather than trying, just say it's easier to drop out completely. It's easier to not try at all. And they're the ones who you find hooked on drugs, on alcohol, dependent on a substance which kind of removes their conscious thought because they've just given up hope, basically, which is a really, really sad state of affairs. There's a final response. The fifth group is this. These people are called rebellion. Okay, the response of rebellion. These people are people who are likely to join terrorist organisations, who are likely to join far right or far left extremist groups, people who are likely to basically say, you know what, screw the rules in society, we don't value wealth and status, we are going to make our own rules. So rather than being the retreatists who drop out of society altogether, they say, no, screw society, we're not going to drop out, we're going to fight. We're going to fight and make our own rules. We're going to make our own society with our own values. And in our society, the goal is causing the maximum death and destruction. So we're going to go and we're going to kill as many people as possible. And that's the acceptable means of getting the goal. Okay? Terrorist groups do not care about wealth at all. Status, yes, they're after that, but a very different status than what most people are after. Okay, terrorist groups want to cause fear and panic and to cause terror. That's their goal. Their means of getting that goal is by performing acts of terror, acts of vandalism, acts of violence. All right. So the response of rebellion is about creating a whole new set of norms and values to replace the ones that you've rejected in mainstream society. So the thing that these two groups both have in common is they both reject the goals and the means of mainstream society. The thing they have that's different is that retreatists reject them and don't replace them with anything other than drugs and alcohol. Those who rebellion response, reject the means and the goals and replace them with new ones. Okay, and on the table it looks like this. So you've got, going from the top, conformity, working in a great job and working your way up the career ladder. You accept the goals, you accept the means. Innovation, you accept the goals, but you don't accept the means because you don't feel like you can accept the means. You are feeling forced to go down a life of crime instead. That's organised crime, serious crime, crime that gets a lot of money. You've then got ritualism. That is people who have forgotten what it is to be striving for success, but are still working a 9-to-5 day-to-day job, still doing the right thing. They're not criminals. They're a little bit deviant because they're no longer looking up to success, but ultimately they're good people. Okay, the majority of people, we would say, are ritualistic. Then you've got the two groups who are completely deviant and perform criminal activity. First, you've got retreatists, or retreatism, those who have given up on trying to accept the goals in society and have given up on trying to accept the means. They just drop out altogether and are dependent on drugs and alcohol. And then you've got those in rebellion who reject the goals and the means and replace them with a new set of goals and means, such as a radical, extremist, terrorist organisation. Okay, the yellow highlighted section is strain theory. Innovation is straining to reach the goals via other means. And you can see here that two responses, conformity and ritualism, are acceptable, non-deviant responses. Three of them, the other three, innovation, retreatism and rebellion, are unacceptable or deviant or criminal responses to the goals and the means of society. So if this was to be a diagram, and I want you to draw this in your book, okay, and I want you to draw the lines that I've got, because I think having this kind of picture, diagram, way of explaining it can be really, really helpful, rather than just having reams and reams of text. If it was a diagram, at the top you would have success, and remember that's high status, high income, high wealth, for capitalist goals in society. On the left-hand side, you would have the acceptable means of gaining that success via hard work and determination by legal means, okay, in a career. Now, if conformity was to be a diagram, it would look like this. A straight line going up towards success, not deviating, because you are following the pattern of a legal career all the way up to success, which is high status, high income, high wealth. If innovation was to be an icon on a diagram, have a think about what you would put for this. I have put this. A line which still reaches the success criteria, high status, high income, high wealth, but which deviates on the way, which does not follow the same straight line as conformity, because remember, those who innovate reject the means but still aim for the same goal. They've got that in common, but they go via the goal via different means. Okay, ritualism, I would argue, looks like this. So somebody who is completing all the right things, i.e. working hard, but has lost sight, has not quite reached success, high status, high income, high wealth. They're working hard, but haven't got that end product that conformity has. Retreatism would look like this. someone who's dropped out completely, gone the other direction, gone away from success, away from status, and rejected working hard completely. So they're not even on the same track, they're not even working at all, they've just removed themselves from society. And rebellion, I would argue, looks like this. They have created a new success criteria, a new set of values, and they are now aiming towards that rather than aiming towards the success that society sets out for them. So this is the 5 responses as a diagram. Draw that for me in your book. Okay, so here you've got 11 questions. I've put them on Show My Homework for you, so you can just print this slide off and you can answer them in your book. Don't try and answer them on the sheet because you won't have enough space. Okay, you will need to answer them in your book, but just number them 1 to 11 in your book. And when you are ready, please do not do this any sooner. Please do all 11 questions and then go to the next part of the video. But when you are ready, so pause this video, do the work. When you're ready, unpause it, and the answers will emerge on the next slide. With these answers, obviously you can pause this video and use these answers for as long as you possibly need them. For number 3, just FYI, I've put ritualism because, in brackets, because most people would argue it's not deviant to be ritualistic, but some would because you are deviating from the capitalist values. But generally it's not really a deviant response. Okay, and that's it. Hope it's been helpful. Next lesson we'll look at some of the criticisms of Merton, and we'll also look forward to another theory, which is Cohen and his theory of status frustration. But until then, have a wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing what you've done. Take care.